So what I want to talk about today is a bit about unified communication and how that's going to change in the light of digital transformation. So let me start with a little story around here, a little example. Anybody know what that is? So obviously it's an Apple Watch, right? But the app on there. Tesla? Yeah. That's a car, right? So imagine yourself walking into one of our big European traditional car manufacturers 5-6 years ago and explaining to an engineer that has built combustion engines for 30 years, explaining to him that this is the reason why somebody bought another car and not his car. He wouldn't even know what you were talking about, right? And that's not that long ago, right? That's just a few years back that this stuff has been out there. And imagine the surprise on the CEO's face if you had told them that a little startup building cars and doing things a little different would have a higher market cap than his car manufacturer just in a few years' time. He would have laughed at you as well. And that's the thing, and that's the speed things change. And Tesla is not so much about the electric car. Yeah, the electric car is one piece of it. But they changed the whole entire process of how you purchase a car, how you deal with a car, how they deal with customers. If you walk into one of their showrooms, you can't actually buy a car. They're going to show you all the features, they're going to show you everything, but if you want to buy it, the guys tell you, well, you know what? You need to go online to buy it. After you bought it, you say, you know what? I really wanted this one feature, and I didn't buy it. But then if you call them up, what they'll tell you is, well, you know what? On your screen, go into that menu, put in your credit card number, and buy it. Because that's how it works. And that's the difference. And that's when we talk about digital companies. And yes, they're still doing traditional things. But what they're really doing differently is how they interact with customers and how they do their business. And that's why we see this change. So that's a number that really struck me when I saw it. So year 2000 is not that long ago. Everybody can probably still remember it. And 52% of the names that were on the Fortune 500 list, that's the 500 biggest companies in the world by market cap, were gone by the year 2016. 52%. And if you think those things are slowing down, think again. Because there's a lot of economies, emerging markets, etc., where they don't know the traditional ways. They don't know the way we do business. They don't know how we do certain things. They do things differently. They come up with new ideas. From those new ideas, you see new companies grow, and that's the forecast. 45% of the Fortune 500, global Fortune 500, of the companies on there are going to come from emerging markets, emerging economies. Today, essentially 80, 90, 95% of those are either European or US companies. That's what it is. So everybody's expecting, or the analysts are forecasting, another big change like that. And that is what's happening and what has happened over the past years, even though it may not have felt that way. And that trend is accelerating because the new technology is coming ever quicker. And it will drive a need for small businesses to change, to become quicker, more agile, play in their niche, for mid-market companies to change, and to really drive innovation, differentiate with technology, do things very differently, come up with new ideas, etc. But it will also require large companies to become a lot more agile if they don't want to be part of the 52% on the previous slide. And a lot of that has to do with communication and how you interact inside a company. Because communication is, very, very fundamental to all that, and how you deal with your customer, how your teams work together, how efficiently work together, and how to develop products, services, bring them out to market, communicate them out to the market, etc. And that is why we as Mitel, want to focus on one thing. We don't want to, be the biggest company in the world that do everything. What we want to focus on is one thing. What we work towards is making communication and collaboration seamless. That's what we do when we get up in the morning. That's what our engineers think about. That's what our SEs think about. That's what our support technicians think about. That's what we do. And we are really focused on that aspect, and we believe that communication is pretty important in this journey of a digital transformation, and that you need to be focused on that segment of the market and not do 27 other things, because you can only hire so many bright engineers. That is just a matter of fact. So what is digital transformation to us as Mitel? So it all starts with the people. Starts with the customers, but also starts with the internal people in a business that you need to capture, their hearts and minds, and get them engaged and get them working together. On the other side of that equation is, processes that are in the way of working at that new pace that is expected in the new world, or working differently. Because you know what? We do things a certain way. It's always been that way, and we all have a very hard time changing, even within the company. And then there's the middle part, and that's where we focus on as Mitel, is technology and digital solutions, right? To provide that glue, to get the people, the processes, and to make that connection and get things working. So let's start with the customer, because that's a very important aspect of the people aspect. So businesses need to respond at an increased pace. They need to respond, even in the evening or early in the morning when customers want to call in. They need to be able to use new methods of communication. Customers or consumers are demanding that flexibility. And customer experience is really becoming the differentiating piece in your products and your services. But it doesn't stop at the contact center, right? Because the contact center alone doesn't give you that end-to-end experience. About 20% with our customers, about 20% of the contact center interactions require involvement of the, of the bigger business, right? Somebody else. Those requests cannot be resolved within the contact center. The problem is, if you don't have a solution end-to-end that covers your communication flows from the customer somewhere out there, to somebody needing to do something within your company, and it's not all seamless, not all tracked, doesn't fit together. You have breaks in your process, you have breaks in your tools, and at the end of the day, you're putting 20% of your transactions, of your contact center transactions, at a risk of not being great. Because whenever there's disconnects, whenever there's a hole somewhere, it might go well, 9 out of 10 times, but there will be those problems. And that's something you simply cannot afford to do. So besides the contact center, we also need to redefine how we do unified communication. Because we as an industry, and also we as a manufacturer, have focused on the knowledge worker. The past few years, we've only focused on that. And we put out more tools. And we put out, team working solutions and other solutions. And that's all good. And we need all that. but it can't be the only thing. And we also cannot start building solutions that are so broad, horizontally broad, with put in so many features that we have to go back and say, you know what, dear regular employee down in the accounting department, you don't understand how to use our tools? I'm going to send you to some training on how to use the tools. That's not the right approach. That is really not the right approach. We need to build technology that people love to use, that helps people do their job, not tell them, you know what, we built this great technology, and now we need different people to use that technology. That's not how you transform a business. And that's why we look at UCC not as one big monolithic broad application that does everything or is everything to everyone. We look at it very differently, at a very targeted, vertical focused, easy to roll out, easy to install, easy to onboard people. And that's a very different thing about thinking about it. And of course it needs to be open, but it needs to be very focused, vertical, to the people that need to use it, to the respective job or problem at hand, and creating tangible business value immediately. And that's important because the world as is, and I'm going to get to how we're going to do that in a minute, is getting broader and broader and more complicated as we speak. It's not just about communication and not just about people. Now it's also about devices. And all the information pouring in from those devices now also factors into the communication landscape. And that is changing things again because the Internet of Things is a gigantic new source of information that enriches communication workflows because of all the information that those devices create that need to be ingested by the systems, analyzed, routed to the right people, and then tool-supported process change to proactively engage customers with that information and proactively support them into servicing and supporting our customers. And that is why we chose a radically different approach on how to build applications. So traditionally, when we built our big monolithic communications applications, we built a massive software stack and a massive UI on top of that, and it was all big. And we took a step back from that and we said, okay, you know what, all the infrastructure is already in place. There's nothing wrong with your PBX or your voice switch or whatever infrastructure you have installed right now. There is nothing wrong with existing contact centers or existing UC solutions. But we're not going to solve those problems or make things move quicker by keeping to enhance those solutions and make them bigger and make them more powerful and make them more complex. We need to change. So what we started doing is we built a platform, a cloud-based platform that links with all the existing stuff that you have installed in your businesses. So it hooks up to your PBX, it hooks up to your contact center, et cetera, and enables all that functionality. On top of that, we put together an API layer that enables us to quickly implement applications. And those applications can still leverage all the tools that you have installed in your business today, that you use every day. But what that powerful foundation now enables us to do is focus on the top bits. And those are the applications. And the application doesn't have to be a 300 megabyte thing you install on your PC. It can be a little thing. It can be a thing that automates 2-3 steps in your workflow. But those applications are small and more in the web age are combinations of different solutions. And when you put that together, that's when the value comes in. Because now I don't need to train my person in the accounting department. I go to him and says, you know what? I'm going to install 2 things here. And from now on, it's 10 steps less in the thing you do every day. In the environment you know, nothing else changes. But now it's more efficient. Now it's being tracked. We can use the data, put it into analytics, and move from there. And that's the really big difference. So what we really want to focus on is that top bit and not keep investing and pouring R&D into that bottom path, which is really just an infrastructure component for us, because we believe the top bit is the high value. And the frustrating piece is, how often have you gone to your vendor or your partner and said, you know what, could I have that little feature? You know what, I just want this a little bit different. And then the answer from the manufacturer was always, oh, yeah, we can put it on the roadmap, maybe next year, maybe the year after, but we're not sure. And that's exactly the piece we think, as an industry, we need to change to become more relevant. And this is how we want to change it. And we want to change it in a way what we don't tell yourself is, you know what, forget what we sold you yesterday, take it all out, buy something else. It's really all about taking you on that journey, enabling our existing customers, expanding their horizon, linking them to our cloud platform, and then delivering those applications to our customers through our partners. And that is really what we're all about, to get them onto that journey to leverage IoT, to leverage SaaS integrations, to leverage analytics, to leverage mobility, and just help them improve what they do today, here and now, and help them on that journey into the digital world. Thank you very much.